Hi everyone, and welcome back to the new episode of Azure for Show. I'm your host Stephen Simon, and we are back on Thursday. So you might have seen that we are streaming on a little different time. We usually stream it on 9 a.m. Pacific time, but today has been a certain change because it's a very special episode. Just a quick update that sorry for the delay. There was a little hustle behind the scenes, so yeah, so it is it is almost 5:30 p.m. at my place, and I joined from India, Delhi, so there might be a little background noise. It's kids when it's the time when kids go to the park, parents are out, and the pandemic is almost gone, so there might be a little background noise. So please bear with me. So everyone who's joining, welcome back once again. This is episode number 4. And I think we're almost halfway down to the season 1 of this Azure for Sure. Thank you so much for all the people who have been joining all this time. And in today's episode, we have a very special guest. I remember I hosted her back, first time back in July 2020. It's almost like 1.5 or 2 years now. She is Ayça Baş. She is a senior cloud advocate. She's a senior cloud advocate now. When I started hosting her, she was a cloud advocate, and she has been a Microsoft partner too. So yeah, quite an interesting show it is going to be, and we're going to talk about the collaborative apps with Microsoft Cloud. And yeah, so without any further ado, if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and drop them in the comments, and let's bring our guest in. Hi, Aja. Welcome to the Azure for
Hi.
Show live show.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me. It's a great show, and I'm really excited to be here.
All right, Aja, thanks for accepting the invitation. And before we go ahead and move to the technical stuff of this live show, could you tell us where you're joining us from and what do you do actually as a cloud advocate?
Yes, of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Ayça Baş. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I live in Dubai, but I'm originally Turkish. And you may hear some background noise of cars because people love using noisy cars over here. And at Microsoft, I mainly focus on Microsoft 365 technologies such as Graph, Microsoft Teams. But today we're going to talk about more of how we can build collaborative apps using Microsoft Cloud. So that covers a lot of clouds from Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. So, Aja, today it says collaborative apps with Microsoft Cloud, and this show is about Azure, right? So, why didn't you
Yep.
end up saying collaborative apps with Azure? I mean, for me as a layman, when I hear Microsoft Cloud, it is Azure. So, why not collaborative apps with Azure, and why did you put up Microsoft Cloud there in the title?
Yeah. So if I tell you that this is not only Azure, would you just
Mhm.
leave me alone out of the episode because it's not Azure? I hope not.
No.
Yeah, so the reason I call this as Microsoft Azure, so not Microsoft Azure, but Microsoft Cloud, because in terms of collaborative apps, and actually many apps we started building these days include per platform, Microsoft 365 or Azure. So combination of those technologies help us make solutions at the end. So when we, let's say, try to build something collaborative, let's say you want to get notifications from each and every user when they change their presence status, let's say,
Mhm.
then you will of course need Graph, but also you will require some other technologies to build the entire app. If you're building a web app, you will use maybe Azure Static Web Apps. If you're building a bot to do that, you will use Azure Bot Service, or you will use Power Virtual Agent. So there's never one single technology or one single thing, one single part of Microsoft we use. So that's why I want to call this Microsoft Cloud, because of course we need Azure, but we all will also get some support from other technologies at Microsoft, such as Per Platform, GitHub, and
Yeah.
Microsoft 365. So combination of all those makes it an end-to-end solution, actually.
All right, that makes sense now. So you mean to say the entire ecosystem, right? Microsoft 65, Azure, Graphs, and GitHub. You put it all together and then you call it as a Microsoft Cloud, right? Perfect,
Yep.
makes sense. So when you say building a collaborative apps, now I don't get collaborative. What does collaborative mean? But if I heard the apps, some of the apps that I have been using throughout this pandemic and even before that has been like Outlook or Microsoft Teams and maybe OneNote. Which are some of your favorite apps?
My favorite apps, probably day to day, I use Teams quite often,
Yeah.
and then Outlook is the next one. I also use To Do a lot just to keep track of my to do items day to day. And also, I use Office.com to check out all of the files, meetings, everything is going on Office, so you can search around. Basically, all these apps are collaborative apps built by Microsoft, but there are also other apps that you can build and you can get this data in your own application. For example, you can build a bot that can notify you about your upcoming event. That can be one collaborative app, or you can actually create a tab on Teams that can show the time zones. It's actually my colleague Bob who built that app, because in our team, we are distributed all over the world. So we always need to check the time zones every time when we want to schedule a meeting. And it's a hassle to take a look all the time zones. Instead, he built a tab on Teams that shows all of the time zones in our team, so that you can go ahead and take a look if it works for the person you're looking for. So these are basically collaborative apps that helps you during your working day, that can actually help you on the side of Teams, Outlook, or other stuff. Lots of people are actually getting so many information. They say that there are so many apps, so many files, and so on. We see a lot of applications built for centralizing the files, maybe centralizing the channels they're using in the company. All those scenarios make a really good collaborative app scenarios.
So I get that, what I get it from you just said is that we're using these applications on a day-to-day basis and we're generating a lot of data, right? And what you're saying
Totally.
is that we can use that data and build custom apps on it, right?
Totally, yes. You
Mm-hmm.
can build your whichever makes your life easier. You can
Mm-hmm.
build that app, and you can use your own data in the app. So that makes it a collaborative app.
That's pretty handy. And actually, you did give an example in the very beginning about the web website, for instance. If I need to go ahead and build a collaborative app that is whose front end is a web app, right, or a static website. So, what would be my very first step? For instance, now I have decided that okay, I need to go ahead and create an app where my some of my team members will go ahead and log in and they'll work around it, right? So, what is the very first step? Then I need to go ahead and build an app.
So it depends where you start, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people always start with Visual Studio Code, and then they build their app locally, and then they start installing the SDKs, and then they call the APIs required, and they also work on the interface in the front end, and then you end up, hosting your app in Azure or other cloud platforms. While you're doing that, of course, you will need a lot of information how to make this app happen, because, as you said, we have login. We also have, maybe you want to gather some other data from Microsoft 365. Then you have to call Graph. Then you have to know Microsoft Graph at least a little bit, how you can call the API. And after that, you need to know Azure Static Web Apps or Azure Web Apps. Uh, then you can host your app. So all these scenarios are actually available in Azure Architecture Center for your reference if you're looking for some of the collaborative app scenarios. And if you don't know what is the good match, And if you're not sure what can be the good scenario, there's actually a great place in Azure Architecture Center. We started calling solutions across Microsoft cloud platforms. I'm literally reading from the documentation over here in my screen. You can just go there and check out what are the scenarios related to Azure and Power Platform or Azure and Microsoft 365, and you will see in some of the scenarios we actually have even 3 of them, not just 2, and you will see some of the scenarios. We also have a really good YouTube channel. You can find a lot of community scenarios under Microsoft 365 Developer YouTube channel, where you will see students are building great solutions for community, improving the onboarding system in the community, or again, students are building solutions to improve their university's online learning environment, for example, by getting the learning API or by getting some data from Microsoft Teams and Moodle at the same time to track attendance and so on. And of course, we have great solutions from MVPs. They also tell us how we can build all those solutions. So I guess there are so many places you can check out if you're interested in collaborative apps.
Yeah, that's on you. You and your team have been creating a lot of content around this, and the community is very active. Acha, a quick question, right? When I think, I'll go back to the collaboratives app, right? When we say that we're generating a lot of data and we can capitalize that data and go ahead and build an apps around it. Now I know when these interns that we hire, sometimes I'll give a real time scenario. When we hire these interns in any of the company, it's often very challenging to give them tasks, right? They always ask you that, hey, we need you to go in and do something, and we really don't have a lot of work to give them. So what they actually end up doing is they will just log into the system, then they'll just log out, they'll keep on changing files from here to there. They just find a way to kill their time, right? So what I feel is that there's a lot of instantaneous change of data happening in this Microsoft cloud ecosystem, right? So when I go ahead and build these collaborative apps, can those apps be very instant to handle this kind of change in data?
Yes, great question. Actually, in Microsoft Graph, in a really quick introduction, if someone watching and doesn't know what Microsoft Graph is an API that we can gather all of our data from Microsoft 365. Basically, if you are chatting with someone on Teams, or if you are sending emails on Outlook, if you're using Planner, and if you have tasks there, you can basically gather all that data and use it in your own app. This is a really basic description of Graph, but there's a lot you can do with Graph too. One of the features in Graph is called Microsoft Graph change notifications. And it recently, actually, it is announced last year in build that you can use Microsoft Graph change notifications with Azure Event Hubs. That makes a huge difference because, as you know, Azure Event Hubs can handle millions of data at the same time in real time. That means all of the data digesting and handling part will be covered by Azure Event Hubs. So we don't need to worry about the servers and stuff. So we don't need to worry about how we can digest the data in the app side. Event Hub will take care of getting the data real time and sending it to your data. So, and in short, yes, you can build real-time apps actually by using Microsoft Graph, change notifications, and the combination with Azure Event Hubs makes it really good because in this case, Azure Event Hubs is such a good technology that can handle all these data real time, so you don't have to worry about it. So in this case, I guess when you're working with Microsoft 365 or Power Platform or Azure, there are so many other options available in the other environments that you can leverage and you can combine, so your app will become much more powerful. And some of the examples are actually, when I was working as a consultant in the field at Microsoft, I always see combination of those technologies as a solution, and not just like, focusing on one single technology like Graph, but instead combination of Graph and Event Hubs, maybe Azure Functions as well, makes it a super cool and real-time app, real-time collaborative app when you know how to consume all those together.
Messing up with the camera today. So I get that part, right? So when you go ahead and create these apps, you can also leverage the Azure, this Event Hub, and all. Now, so Aisha, where does Power Apps play a role in this? I know, I mean, I've built many Power Apps. I've used Power Automate. I've used Power BI. Now, if I definitely I can build a Power App that can work across different teams, right? But from your perspective, where can these Power Apps or Power Automate would come into play?
Yeah, so in general, if I speak for Power Platform, it can actually play a really big role, especially let's say you ask your intern to build an app for your team so that
Which
your
they
team can
won't.
if let's say they join your company for the first time and they need to build a Teams app, onboarding app, but they first need to learn, let's say, bot framework, and they need to know at least one language so they can write code. Instead, they can leverage from Power Virtual Agents, which has a really connected way of testing your app in Microsoft Teams, so you don't have to do much. You just click test and you can test it on Teams too. I guess Power Platform comes into the picture when you want to have a quick recurrence flows. Let's say you want to I mean, in one of the scenarios, I used Power Automate, for example, in the entire picture of the solution is the way I recur the subscription for Microsoft Graph change notifications, because my subscription expires every hour, every top of the hour. So I need to renew it. Either I can write a code, I can just simply create a flow on Power Automate so it can recur itself. And another scenario can be, as I mentioned, if you want to build a really quick bot that can handle some stuff, bring some of your data, but you don't know how to write code and you don't know how to leverage from Bot Framework SDK, Power Virtual Agent comes into the picture, and it's a really easy way to build bots. Same for Power Apps. If you just want to test some data and if you want to build an app that your team can use, again, Power Apps are a really good way of building that app. Instead of creating a Azure static web app, you can actually create a Power App. So again, the same structure can work with the Graph, with Teams, and again, you can leverage from Event Hubs, but your front-end app will be Power Apps. So I guess there are so many ways that we can leverage from Power Platform.
Absolutely great. So I think we are moving more towards low code, no code, where you don't have to write a lot of code, at least a repetitive code, and there's so many powerful tools out there. I personally love Power Automate. I come from an RPA background, so I really love that. So Aisha, during this, when I was exploring this Power Apps and all, right, I found it very challenging to go ahead and find a subscription, right? You need to be a part of our organization to actually go ahead and practice it. Although I was doing it on Microsoft Learn, which has a very good sandbox. They give you Azure subscription on the fly and all that. So do you have any suggestions where people could actually go ahead and get a free subscription and get started?
Yes, actually, in general, when you start using some Microsoft 365 data with Graph, or if you want to test something on Teams, or if you're building a Power App or Power Virtual Agent, it might be really challenging for you to test it in your company's environment or your school's environment. Instead, you can go ahead and register to Microsoft 365 Developer Program. It's a free program, and everyone can join the program. In Microsoft 365 Developer Program, you will get a tenant. It's a demo tenant. It will come with a number of people, and it will come with certain data. So you actually will see when you create a tenant in Microsoft 365 Developer Program, you will see some people chats on Teams. So there is a data available in Outlook, in Microsoft 365 in general, so that you can practice, test your Power Automate flows or test your Power App with the existing data. It's actually a really nice program if you're a student and trying to build some projects for your school, or if you work in a company and if you're trying to build something with the data you have in Microsoft 365, I guess it's a really nice program. And again, I will mention it's free, so I guess for developers it's a really nice way to start stuff in a really easy way. Other
Yeah,
than asking admins to give us permissions, we can just go ahead and use it.
I mean, yeah, developers always love free stuff, right? So good for them. So Aicha, a quick question on this. Now, if I need to go and use Azure for free, right? They give me certain free credits for 12 months. How it works for this developer program? Is it available for my rest of our life? 12 months? How does that work?
So in the Microsoft 365 developer program, as long as you continue using your tenant, so that they actually work in the activity base. If you don't enter your tenant in next 90 days, I'm not sure about the date, but something like that, then your tenant will expire. If you continue using your tenant for testing purposes, if you build some other apps and continue using the tenant accounts, then you can continue using. There is no expiring date. It will continue renewing itself as long as you continue using it.
Wow, that's very nice of Microsoft, I would say. You keep on using it, and they'll keep on renewing your subscription, so that really helps. Now, Aicha, we are almost like towards the end of the show, right? And we've been talking about collaborative apps and Microsoft Craft, and you're an expert in it, right? You're the one who goes ahead and build these products, right? So my question here to you is, what is the most challenging thing or a task while building a collaborative app? What do you think there is still room of improvement, or maybe there's something that you guys and your team, guys and girls are working on?
I guess the most challenging part is knowing, because it's impossible to know everything in technology. I mean, you can say yourself an expert if you work in a really long time in such area. I guess in terms of collaborative apps, you need to know some stuff in many different areas. For example, you need to know Azure. You need to, maybe if you want to use Power Platform, again, you need to know a little bit more about it. Also, if you want to do something with collaboration, you will need to understand Microsoft 365 and how Graph and Teams work. So in all these scenarios, sometimes it is hard to find end-to-end solutions, because when you go to the documentation, if you're in the Graph documentation or Teams, you will see an information about that piece. If you go to Event Hubs, you will find information about that, but you are the one, you need to connect each and every one of them in the architecture, in the solution. So for that, actually, we are working a lot on increasing the number of solutions that developers can build by combining all these technologies, so they'll understand how they work in a real solution instead of just understanding one single product itself. Because when it comes to the real life scenarios, if you're a developer in a company or if you're a consultant, you probably see that a lot, that you probably need to, if you're a developer, you're the one need to handle the Power Automate flow, as well as you are the one need to build the graph change notifications by using Event Hubs. So you're the one probably handling the entire thing. So that's the area. That's why we want to focus a lot and increase the number of solutions available for your reference, so that you can find the easy way of connecting all these stuff and have those work together. Because I guess when it comes to the development, when there's something new, companies always want to try that, but developers are the ones need to learn the new stuff and try them in different solutions. So it's, I think, important to have the end-to-end version of it.
Yeah, you're often a one-man army in your team, so you have to do a lot of work. So I just since you're a cloud advocate, right, and you spend a lot of time in the community. So do you also run some of the live shows or maybe a blog that you run it where people can always go ahead and stay updated with the latest code samples or the examples that you guys and girls put it out there?
Yeah, so in my team, there are so many projects going on, so many great work that my colleagues are working. Recently, I had an initiative about blog posts that you maybe see if you're following me. I've been posting about it. We started having a series of articles, which is called Learn from the Community. Our purpose is to learn from students, learn from MEPs, startups, companies, and basically whoever wants to share in the community. And yes, that one. We publish these articles every Tuesday at 8 a.m. PT. And you can see that every week we cover another scenario. If you're more of a reader instead of just watching the video, we have a really short version of explaining you what is the problem, what is the biggest reason that students or MEPs build that project. And then we explain you the solution really shortly. And if you're interested in learning more, you can just go ahead and check out the video we publish on our YouTube channel. And this is it. And also, we want to hear more of those projects so that we can publish and highlight your story on our YouTube channel. And also, we can highlight your story again on Learn from the Community. If you're interested in maybe collaborating with us to put your project on our YouTube and also in Learn from the Community, if you want to be a part of it, you can just either reach out to me or Stefan, or in a more formal way, we have a form that you can reach out to us. You can just fill out the form and I can reach out to you and we can record the videos. The form, you can reach out from aka.ms/share-your-story. I
That's
should
an
have come up with
interesting.
an easier one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then no one has. Did you when you said Stephen? Did you mean me?
Yeah, I
Oh
know
my
everybody
goodness.
calls you Simon, but your real name is Stefan, right?
Yeah, it was so awkward to hear my first name.
Yeah, but Simon is your last name, actually,
Yeah,
no?
Simon is my last name. Yeah.
Probably I'm the
So,
only one calling you Stefan.
yeah, it sounded so different. That's why I had to confirm. So Aicha, apart from so is there anything you want to plug around this topic before we end the show?
Um,
Go
so
ahead and try it. Yeah.
I mean, first of all, if you're interested in learning more of the stories, go ahead and check out Learn from the Community series. I'm sure you will like some of the scenarios. You may find your inspiration and build your own, or most of the scenarios have GitHub repos, so you can just go ahead and try yourself for your own company, for your own community. Second of all, if you want to be a part of it, please do not hesitate. We definitely want to hear from each and every one of community members. If you want to share and if you think that your project might be interesting for others too, definitely we invite you to be a part of Learn from the Community. This is one last thing I can say. And also, can we show aka MS link at the bottom so people can fill
What
out the
was
form?
that? I need to type aka.ms. What was that? Learn
No,
underscore.
share dash your dash story. I think people got it already.
Okay, I'm gonna drop it anyway. All right, that's it here, and also here. I think this is the right AKA. I'm gonna share your story. That's
Yes.
easy. That's an easy one. So, Aisha, one quick question before you leave, or maybe a couple of quick questions. I see you have very interesting paintings in the background. Did you make them?
No. I bought them, but then I was too lazy to put them on top. So they're staying at the bottom instead. And I want to have some colorful stuff. But my colleague Rabia has really good lights.
Yeah.
And she also has some books on top. So I'm on the same path. but it just takes so much time to build something like that. So that's why, yeah, I want to do exactly the same thing like your background, but
Yeah, I mean,
it takes time to build it.
yeah, exactly. And, it has so many modes. I love it.
Oh,
Never
nice.
mind. So Aja, thank you so much for being a part of the Azure for Sure show. I would love to have you back, and yeah, I think it's time we say bye to everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, I
Yep,
think so.
let's
Thanks
end
for
the show.
having me. It's a great show. I love the name Azure for sure. But we talked about something else like Microsoft 365.
Yeah,
It's good too.
it's a big ecosystem, right? It
Yeah.
comes, it falls under that. So thank you everyone for joining us today. This was episode number 4 of Azure for Sure. Next week we join. I don't remember next week guest, but yeah, join us next week. Thursday. We are almost halfway down of this series, and yeah, Aisha, have a nice day ahead, and I'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone.
See you.
Ta-da.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.